Okay, let's get brutally honest for a second. Have you ever checked your bank account at the end of the month and thought, wait, I didn't even buy anything big, so where did all my money go? You scroll through your transactions and it's just a graveyard of $12.99 here, $24.50 there, $7.25 over and over. And then you realize it's all those buy now, pay later payments you thought were no big deal. You barely remember what half of them are for. But now your paycheck is getting eaten alive by a bunch of tiny invisible debts. And you're not alone. This is happening to millions of people right now, and it's about to get a whole lot worse. My name is Ben, and I spend way too much time thinking about the psychology of money, especially the stuff that seems harmless but can quietly wreck your finances. If you've ever looked at your bank statement and thought, wait, where did all my money go? Or if you're someone who's trying to get ahead but keeps getting tripped up by these sneaky little expenses, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, because today we're talking about something that's exploding right now: buy now, pay later, and how it's quietly creating a brand new debt crisis that almost nobody is talking about. Here's the thing: buy now, pay later, or BNPL as the cool fintech kids call it, sounds like the best deal ever. No interest, no credit check, no scary credit card bills. Just split your purchase into a few easy payments and you're done. Companies like Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, Zip, they're everywhere. In fact, according to a 2023 report from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, over 45 million Americans used a BNPL service last year. That's almost 1 in 5 adults, and the number is growing fast. But here's what most people don't realize. BNPL isn't just a new way to pay. It's a whole new way to get into debt, and it's way, way easier to fall into than you think. Let's break down the math for a second. Say you buy a $200 pair of headphones using BNPL. The app says, no problem, just pay $50 today and then $50 every 2 weeks for the next 6 weeks. Sounds easy, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Because you only paid $50 today, your brain doesn't really register that you just spent $200. It feels like you only spent $50. So what do? You buy something else, maybe a $120 jacket. That's just $30 today. And then maybe a $60 video game. That's $15 today, and on and on. Now look, this is where the psychology gets sneaky. There's a concept called payment splitting that makes your brain underestimate how much you're actually spending. It's like if you went to a restaurant and instead of seeing the full bill, they just showed you the price of each appetizer, each drink, each dessert, one at a time. You'd probably order more, right? Because it never feels like a big deal. That's exactly what BNPL is doing to your wallet. And here's the kicker. According to a Lending Tree survey, 42% of BNPL users have made a late payment. 42%. That's almost half. And when you miss a payment, suddenly those no fees and no interest promises go out the window. Now you're getting hit with late fees, penalty interest, and sometimes even a ding on your credit report. Klarna, for example, charges up to $7 for missed payment. Afterpay, up to $8. And if you're juggling 5 or 6 of these at once, those fees add up fast. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but isn't this just like using a credit card? And yeah, on the surface, it kind of is. But here's what most people don't realize. Credit cards at least give you a monthly statement. You see the full amount you owe, all in one place. BNPL splits it up, hides it in different apps, and makes it way harder to keep track of. In fact, a study from the Financial Health Network found that 70% of BNPL users admit to losing track of their payments. 70%. That's not a small number. That's a crisis waiting to happen. Let me tell you a quick story. I have a friend, let's call her Sarah, who's super responsible with money. She budgets, she saves, she's not the type to rack up credit card debt. But she started using BNPL for little things: a pair of shoes here, a new blender there, some concert tickets. Each one was just a few payments, no big deal. But after a few months, she realized she had over $800 in upcoming BNPL payments, all hitting her account at random times. She missed a couple, got hit with late fees, and suddenly her no-interest purchases were costing her way more than if she just used a credit card. And the worst part, she didn't even realize it was happening until it was too late. This is the new debt crisis. It's not people maxing out their credit cards on big, flashy purchases. It's people quietly drowning in a sea of tiny, no big deal payments that add up to something huge. Here's where it gets even interesting. BNPL companies want you to use their service as much as possible. Why? Because they make money every time you do. They charge retailers a fee, usually around 4 to 6% of the purchase price, just for offering BNPL as an option. That's more than double what credit card companies charge. So retailers are happy because you're more likely to buy, BNPL companies are happy because they're making bank, and you're left with a bunch of payments you might not even remember making. And here's a stat that blew my mind. According to a 2022 report from the Federal Reserve, people who use BNPL are twice as likely to overdraft their bank accounts compared to people who don't. Twice as likely. That's not just a coincidence. That's the system working exactly as designed. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I'm careful. I set reminders. I know what I'm doing. And hey, maybe you do. But the whole point of BNPL is to make spending feel painless. It's designed to bypass your brain's natural, wait, can I actually afford this filter? It's like putting your financial discipline on autopilot and then cutting the brakes. Let's do some quick math. If you have just 4 BNPL purchases, each with 4 payments of $50, that's $200 per purchase, $800 total. But because the payments are spread out, you might only see $200 coming out of your account this month. The rest is coming next month and the month after that. So you think you have more money than you actually do. And that's how people end up spending way beyond their means without even realizing it. Here's what most people don't realize. The average BNPL user has 6 active payment plans at any given time. 6! That's a lot to keep track of. And if you miss just one payment on each of those, that's potentially $48 in late fees. Do that a few times a year, and suddenly your no-interest shopping spree is costing you hundreds of dollars in penalties. And it's not just about the money. There's a psychological toll too. When you're constantly juggling payments, it creates this low-level financial anxiety. You're always waiting for the next payment to hit, always checking your bank balance, always worried you might have missed something. It's like having a bunch of tiny financial time bombs ticking away in the background of your life. So what can you do about it? Here's my advice, and it's not what you might expect. First, treat BNPL like a credit card. If you wouldn't put it on a credit card and pay it off in full, don't use BNPL. It's not free money, it's just a different kind of debt. Second, keep a running list on your phone, in a notebook, wherever, of every single BNPL payment you have coming up. Add up the total amount you owe, not just the next payment. That's your real debt. That's what you need to budget for. Third, set calendar reminders for every payment. Don't rely on the apps to notify you. They want you to forget. You need to be proactive. And finally, ask yourself, would I still buy this if I had to pay the full price today? If the answer is no, walk away. The only reason BNPL feels painless is because it hides the pain. Don't let it trick you. Look, life is expensive. Sometimes you need to spread out payments just to make ends meet. But don't let these companies convince you that debt is the same thing as affordability. It's not. Debt is just future you paying for present you's decisions, with interest, with fees, and with stress. Here's the bottom line. BNPL isn't evil. It's just a tool. But like any tool, it can hurt you if you don't use it carefully. The new debt crisis isn't about people maxing out their credit cards on big, flashy purchases. It's about people quietly drowning in a sea of tiny, no big deal payments that add up to something huge. Don't let that be you. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below. Have you ever gotten burned by buy now, pay later? What's your strategy for keeping track of your payments? Let's help each other out and build a smarter money community together. Remember, your money is your freedom. Don't let a bunch of tiny payments steal it from you. You've got this. See you in the next one.